that you would at least get a glimpse of how I do it, and somehow you can get practical ways to improve, if not improve, perhaps incorporate into things that you've been doing for the past few weeks and months in preparation for your online classes. Mine is more of just online presentations, but I think yours is more of an online class. So I would like to make a huge difference between my presentation and the presentation that you do for online classes. Nonetheless, the way I would prepare for online classes and I do for online presentations would somehow be similar. So these are the things that I do. And if you could allow me to present my presentation with you. Okay. So do you see my presentation now? All right, I'm just having trouble right now with sharing. I don't know how, wait. Share screen. All right, do you see that? All right, so I'll be talking about how teachers can prepare for online presentations. And these are basically the things that I've been doing for the past 2 months. I started my online presentations just the month of July. But although I've been doing a lot of presentations before, but it was quite different from doing online presentations. And I've realized that how demanding it is to prepare for it. And I'll be sharing the steps that I do. It's quite structured, but that's the kind of person I am. I always come up with a structure of how I prepare for my presentations. All right. So my talk for this morning is simply entitled How Teachers Can Prepare for Online Presentations. And it's more of a practical tip these are more of my practical tips that I'm sharing to you guys out there. How you can make your presentations, online presentations, creative and interesting. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm still a work in progress, but I would like to share how I'm progressing in my preparation for my online presentations. So as usual, I made some improvements of my presentation for the month of September. So we added some elements, but if you could look at my outline, I'll start with introduction and I'll present and identify and bust common myths about preparing for online presentations. Next, I will present to you a published statement from an expert, and we're going to analyze the message of that and contextualize it to what we're supposed to be discussing this morning. And then I will have discussion. Again, my format of presenting the information I would like to share to you is still on the question answer format. This has always been my way of presenting my information, an easy way too, so that it will be more focused, but that's just me. But if you want to learn from it, you may want to try it out later on, right? And then I'll have open forum. So if you have questions, suggestions, and clarifications as we go along with our discussion, please do not hesitate to key in your comments and questions and clarifications on the comments box below. And definitely afterward, I'll be presenting some challenges, just a few challenges for you to think about. It's up to you whether you're going to take it on and somehow do something about it as we move along with the school year, doing online distance education. Let us begin. So let us now bust. I really love this. If you will observe my presentations, I specifically choose the theme that represents the topic. That's how I do it. And you may want to look at it. There are a lot of PowerPoint presentation themes that you can download online, but be careful. You just choose those are for free because of course financially we're still struggling. So you can look for free online PowerPoint presentation themes. But in my laptop, thank you very much for thank you very much, Noel Abad, for giving me this wonderful gift, this laptop, and it's one of the latest models of Dell. So it has embedded a lot of PowerPoint presentation themes that I can choose a plethora of themes. So this is one. Why did I choose coffee? Because every time I would prepare my presentation, I always have a coffee. I don't know. I'm a coffee person, and without coffee, my day is not complete. All right. So let's have just three common themes about preparing for online presentations. Number one. All right. A lot of people would say that when we present online, a lot of people say you should look perfect all the time. In my case, seldom that I'm conscious, although today I'm a little bit conscious of my hair because I don't know, it's difficult to look for an open salon here in my area. And my hair has grown long and it's curly, but I realized that what's important is not necessarily the looks. In online presentation, I know the looks is very important, but your personality is more important. If you are strict in person, you are a serious kind of person in real life, on online, we need to be more friendly, more smiling and accommodating. All right. Remember that it becomes more interactive and we are able to engage with our online audience if we smile all the time. I always believe that a smile lights up the room. Say a good and sincere smile. So always smile when you do online presentations. And therefore, I would say that statement number one, you have to be perfect all the time, is busted. Okay, we bust that. All right. To heck with being perfect. Sometimes we're in a hurry, and what's important is that the goods that we deliver to our audience. Because for me, if no matter how good you look and how perfect you look online, but if you did not prepare well in terms of your presentation and for your presentation and information, then you're just purely looks. All right. Second statement. You need to be quick-minded and articulate to deliver your presentations. I would say this is partly true, but not totally true. You don't need to be really eloquent and articulate in saying English. I'm not saying I'm articulate in English. It's just I'm saying that, especially for the Philippine context, we can shift from one language to another. Pwede po ko binasaya direct. Or I could also speak in Waray can marang man ako magwaray-waray gihapon, or I could speak in Filipino straight. But since our audience is my audience, you guys out there are coming from different language groups, so I think I would have to choose just two languages, Filipino and English, and I can move from one language, code switch. Is that what we call? So you don't have to be quick-minded or articulate in a language per se to deliver your presentation. It is more of how organized. To me, what's important is not necessarily how intelligent you are, how eloquent you are, how good you are in using English or Filipino. What's important is that you prepared a really organized presentation, and the way you present the ideas to the audience, like you guys out there, can understand and can comprehend in such a way that it's not difficult for them to grasp the meaning and the message that I would like to impart to the audience. So I would say that statement number two is busted. All right? Pwede naman tayo mag-present ng ating ideas in Filipino. So it does not necessarily mean that we'll have to speak in English. It's just I'm more comfortable expressing my thoughts in English than in Filipino, and I've been honest that I'm still struggling with my Filipino. Even in English, I'm still struggling with English because Filipino and English are my second language, and my first language is I'm not really sure though because it's a combination of English and waray-waray and or other languages. Nonetheless, it's not necessarily pure English. So I'm saying that I know that I may not Sometimes I forget some information and I may not be able to explain clearly. So what I do is I devote a lot of time researching and making sure that my presentation and the answers that I provide you, given the questions that I formulated, are factual and presented in such a way that is palatable and understandable to various types of audience out there. All right. So I say you don't have to be good and you don't have to be thoroughly quick-minded and articulate. All right. So partly yes, but it's more on your organization of your presentation. All right. Next, we have the third and the last myth. You must always be formal, prim and proper, and refined when you speak in public. No, 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 no. A lot of people, right? I think in formal speech delivery, in formal, it depends on the situation. Though you can be formal depending on the demand of the speech. But for online presentation, it is very important that you seem like you're just conversing with the other person. Conversational way of delivering your goods to your students out there, to your audience out there, is more understandable, more interesting than being formal, like how we do inside the classroom, or being strict or formal or prim and proper in a face-to-face interaction. But in online, we need to be totally different from that picture. What we can do is to be more light, be more sociable using your hands, and more conversational using your facial expressions and your voice, and like you're just talking to an ordinary person or to another person like he's in front of you. So I would say statement number 3, you must always be formal, prim and proper, and refined when speaking in public, is busted. All right, and now let's proceed. I'll share to you a published statement of an expert about public presentations or online presentations. It is from Nikitina in 2011. She said, "It is not enough to talk before a group of people to be a brilliant public speaker. Your goal should not be limited to informing your audience or expressing your thoughts publicly, but to changing emotions, actions, and attitudes, and to leaving your listeners and viewers moved by the words and touched by their meaning." I chose this specifically. While I was reading for this past week about preparing for my presentation today, I came over this statement published in an online article, and it struck me so much because a lot of online presentations or online speakers, what they do is just deliver information but fail to move emotionally the audience, and that's what we're supposed to be doing to our students. When we speak online, when we present our online materials to our students, we need to present that it's not just information, that this information would somehow change the way they think, the way they feel, and therefore once that changes, their actions will also change. And I know it's a difficult task to do because of the distance, but what we can do is be able to deliver in such a way, online materials in such a way that we somehow change the mindset of our students. And it can be done using videos, can be done using pictures, but I would say the voice and the facial expression of the teacher, our facial expression and our voice lend so much element in changing and moving the hearts and minds of our students out there. That's why I'm sharing this to you and we're analyzing this. And this will be the context of our presentation because this struck me so much because I realized that no matter how new and the neophyte I am with online presentations, I realized that my goal of sharing and moving and inspiring teachers out there to do the same is within this statement. And then I told myself that I think I have to improve every now and then and focus more on changing emotions and actions and attitudes of my audience. All right, thank you very much. And now let's answer the following questions so that we will understand and have an idea of how I prepare for my presentations for online speaking. So in my mind, I was thinking of what makes online presentation different from public speaking. I mean, just me though, just me. I've been doing a lot of public speaking though, but I realized that making an online presentation is more demanding as opposed to public speaking. I've been delivering lots of speeches, and it's easy for me to do that, like doing storytelling, public presentations and all. But when I did online presentations for VIBAL, I struggled so much because I wouldn't know, I wouldn't be able to see the facial expressions and the body language of my audience, whether I'm able to put across my message. In the online presentation, what I can do is do something about all the things and all the factors in my end, but hoping and assuming that the people out there are able to understand what I'm doing and understand why I'm presenting all of this information to them. So I would like to make a distinction between online presentation and public speaking. So usually online presentation is a migration from a traditional classroom lecture to an online lecture, all right? And the online lecture, instead of having a traditional classroom lecture where face-to-face is being done, you can add audio or video, web pages, images, forms, links, documents, transcripts, and social feeds into a single interactive presentation viewer. What happens with the online lecture is that it becomes more interesting to our students. We can use lots of audio, visual materials to augment, to substantiate our information, our presentation. Unlike for we're limited of what's available in our classroom, limited what's available in the school. And unlike for online lecture, of course, we need, very good connectivity. Nonetheless, once we have found good connectivity, we are all ready to present a very good online lecture presentation using augmentations of our presentations using audio, video, web pages, and all other online tools that would help us put across our message. All right, so at first it was difficult for me and researching, looking for the right pictures, looking for the right GF that matches the information that I would like to present. It's really time consuming at first. But as time went by, days went by, weeks went by, months went by. I'm now on my third month of preparing online presentation. It gets easier and it gets more interesting and more artistic and creative as I go along. And I have a lot of ideas how I can put in, and I'm looking at other applications that I can integrate with the PowerPoint presentation. And that's how we do it. We need to improve ourselves. And I realized that by saying no before to VIBAL, because I know I would struggle so much, was just because I feared the unknown, because I did not know how to do online lecture. Now that I know it, it's now a journey towards becoming better at it, right? Learning all other tools to integrate in my presentation. Therefore, online lecture is a migration of traditional classroom lecture to an online presentation, which you can add audio or video, web pages, images, forms, links, and documents, and transcripts, and social feeds to improve your presentation. All right. So there are three types of online presentations, though. You have online slide decks, the one that you can look over the LinkedIn, over SlideShare. The difference between what makes online slide decks quite daunting is that it only has a PDF format or PDF document of the presentation of speakers, and then you are left with trying to understand trying to understand each deck. But there are explanations for each deck attached to it, and the problem is that there's more internal motivation to go on with the reading of the online slide decks than listening to someone presenting it. But it is one of the one of the online presentations that can be delivered to our students, an online decks with explanations and perhaps spaces for them to run on, or just online slide decks, and students have their sheets that they can take down notes over of the things that they understand on the online slide decks. So here are some examples of my online slide decks. This would be my presentation yesterday. I took copies of it, and what happens is that these are the online slide decks, and then below it, sorry, I was not able to copy. Below it, I had explanations for every slide. I had explanations over there. All right. So that's an on slide decks. No one's talking. There's no embedded audio, recorded audio to explain this. Only a script that would help the readers, the online readers, understand each information presented in each deck, okay, or in each slide deck. So that's one type of online presentation. I do that. I upload my presentations to SlideShare. I also exchange SlideShare with the other online speakers who are members of SlideShare, and then I modify some of those information, and so on and so forth. So you guys can do that too. So you may want to subscribe in SlideShare and LinkedIn, of course, too. Okay. Next type of online presentation be narrated audio presentations, where instead of having just decks, it is a pre-timed PowerPoint presentation or a Prezi presentation with embedded audio recording. Example, this was my presentation yesterday, and I embedded an audio presentation. An intervention is a combination of program elements or strategies designed to produce mindset and behavior changes among individuals in order to achieve learning goals. So what happens here is that you time your PowerPoint presentations. You need not click it, and then you record it. You record your audio explanation, and then embed that in your slide, and then you package it as a presentation, and your students can now just open it as a free how do you call that, an asynchronous material for them to open. Okay. Unlike with the third type of online presentation, which is interactive video presentation, is what I'm exactly doing right now. This is called the interactive video presentation. And what's good about interactive video presentation is that I can put together the first two type presentations. I can put here slides that I can share, that I researched from SlideShare and from LinkedIn, and I can also embed audio just in case, especially I have presentations on say storytelling and all, so I can embed that. So interactive video presentation is what we are aiming to have. So we record, we have digital technology to help us with to make the interactive video presentation. So the people, your students, can see you with a picture, with a box of your face. And they can see you, they can see your hands, they can see your facial expression. And the slide is presenting the information you're explaining to them. So the interactive video presentation, the speaker becomes a storyteller. Remember, a storyteller, not a news anchor, okay, who interacts with the online audience using facial expressions and gestures, augmented even more by audio-visual aids. Okay, so this is what I've been doing, interactive video presentations, and we need to improve that more. Things that we need to consider also interactive video presentation would be the angling. I still don't know how to do that. I'm not so conscious yet about how I look online to you guys out there, but a lot of feedback to me was given that, sir, you can do something about your hair, your background, so on and so forth. And I said, that could be probably my minor things to look at during my interactive video presentations. But for me, what's important would be the content that I need to deliver. Well, probably I will look into how I look later on. Okay. So to answer the question, what what is the difference between online presentation and public speaking is this. A public speaking presentation is typically limited to a specific time or place and is delivered mostly using rhetoric skills, so in a podium and all, and probably less audiovisual aids to aid you, and a lot of presentations and a lot of preparation is done to it, similar, of course, to online presentation. And it is done face to face, although it can be recorded and it can be done online. Nonetheless, it does not necessarily have to be, putting together all other tools in a deck, on a slide deck for presentation. So an online presentation then are often comprised of slideshows or pre-recorded videos of a speaker, or it could be done live, including recordings of a live public speaking presentation. So that means the public speaking presentation could be part of online presentation. All right? Okay. So let's now answer my second question. How does one prepare for online presentations? So this is where now I share to you how I prepare for my online presentations, and I have prepared the 10 steps that I do. Okay, and I'll show you some examples how I do it and how I did it. And quite recently, my examples are quite recent though. Okay, I'm just looking at the time, so I still have 30 minutes to go. Okay, so how I personally prepare for my online presentations, that does not necessarily mean though, it's just, I usually have that and I have a coffee. One, I identify the topic and dissect it into smaller units, and then transpose the units into questions and place it in an eye chart. Yesterday, I talked about a strategy that could help our students overcome their writing difficulties using the eye chart, and the eye chart has been very beneficial for me in preparing for my online presentation. And this is what I do. Once I get the topic from VIBAL, I dissect it into smaller units, and the smaller units are now converted into questions. And these questions are used for me to purposively look for the answers, whether it's on book or online. Now, here's an example though. So topic would be intervention of activities for students with poor study habits. That would be my topic on Friday. So I'm just giving you an example of how I prepared for my Friday presentation. So this is my topic. So what I did is I need to dissect the following units and transpose that into questions. Study habit. So I need a question, like formulate a question about what is study habit. So we need to know what makes study habit an activity. What is it? All right, that's just me though. I need to understand as a presenter doing an online presentation. I need to understand these concepts for me to be able to present it. Although I know, but I need to look for research, look for data that would factually, substantially explain the concept of study habit. Next is what makes a study habit good. I need to know what factors contribute to a student that makes his practice or her practice or our habit of studying good. So these are the things that I need to answer, and therefore I need to look for information so that when I present it, I have substantial information to present to you out there. Next would be what causes poor study habit. If there are factors that contribute to good study habit, then I think there are also factors that contribute to poor study habit. And I think a lot of people out there would want to know that too, so that they can prevent that from happening. And finally, what are ways to help students develop good study habits? Since we're talking about intervention, then I need to know what ways to help students develop good study habits. Although the topics that are given to me are all based on my experience, and the way I present my presentations are based on how I went through all of this, and then look for more information that could substantiate my experience. All right. So these are the first two steps. And you're asking questions like, sir, I am preparing for a lesson, an online lesson, and how do I do that? So when I was doing that, what I did is that the learning competencies instead of the topic. So the learning competencies, what I did is I transposed the learning competence, the focused learning competency for that day or for that week, I transpose that into questions. Now, if the learning competency is still huge, I chunk it into smaller units and then and transpose that into questions. And when I present it to my students, I'll present them the learning competency and see that the learning competencies have been transformed into question form, and that's the way I'm going to present. The idea there is that students get to understand that, oh, I can do that. I can understand the lesson by looking at the what is expected of me, okay, what's expected of me, and then what I can do with that expectation or learning expectation or learning outcome. I can dissect that into parts that I can easily digest and acquire. And therefore, once I'm able to do all of those, put them together, the smaller units, I put them together like cooking the ingredients, then I have now a dish. Or I become that kind of person acquiring the learning competency or the learning outcome. So that's what I have been doing. And that's how I taught the writers of Sisters of Mary when they do the module writing, is to transpose the learning competencies into questions. And when they present that in the module format, the questions and the answers are the ones that students would focus more on. What's good about that kind of presentation is that it's more apt. You can't go wrong with that because you get to realize that the questions that are formulated out of the learning competency and the activities and the information that you research for and you come up with actually realize the learning competencies. All right? That's a line. Next, the third step that I do is that I research for factual answers to form answers to the formulated questions. Then I place my answers on my eye chart like this. So the topic, intervention activities for students with poor student habits. I have questions. Mostly I look for 3 to 5 sources, but sometimes if I have enough time, to research, I go beyond 5 sources and I make a handout out of it or a module out of it. That's what I do. I do not embark immediately on preparing presentation. I need first to organize my thoughts in a handout format. And then later on, I keep on reading the module or the handout that I created or I made. And then I think overnight, how am I going to present that graphically, creatively on an online presentation? So hindi agad presentation ang ginagawa ko, hindi agad PowerPoint presentation. Before that, a lot of things happening. All right. So the fourth step that I do is I make a module that presents the information I research in a comprehensible sequence. Now, I will now sequence. I come up with a sequence of presenting my ideas. I would have introduction, and I decided that my introduction would be busting myths, and the second one would be analyze this. It could be a statement. It could be anecdotal records to situate my topic, to give the context of the lesson or the context of what we're discussing today, or we're discussing the context of the online presentation. And then I come up with discussion. And the discussion is in a question-answer format. So it's easy for students to, and for you guys out there to follow. And then definitely we'll have open forum. That's now the part where the discussion comes in. And then of course, abstraction that in my presentation is in the form of conclusions and implications. So let me give you an example of how I make my module or handout. So it looks like this. So if you will observe, it is wordy, okay? It has all of the information that I need to understand to present it. But if you observe, I only presented the first statement. You have to be perfect all the time, the myth busting. All the rest are all explanations that I will deliver, using my voice, using my facial expression, and my storytelling skills. So you don't have, it would be boring for the audience that your presentation is too wordy. It must be presented graphically with pictures and words and lines and colors, so that it becomes more interactive and more presentable to you guys out there, to the viewers. So ganun po, gagawin muna ako ng handout. Tapos babasahin ko siya hanggang sa utak ko, ito, ganito siya dapat ang itsura niya pag na-present siya. Right? So my fourth step now is pre-lay out my presentation based on the comprehensible sequence that I designed. So hindi mo na ako naglalagay, hindi mo na ako nag-isip kung anong ilalagay, hanapin yung pictures. What I do, ito yung power presentation, I select a theme. Okay? I'm very meticulous with looking for a theme that matches my topic. So on Friday, my topic is poor study habits. So I specifically browsed over one by one the themes that are stored in my laptop, and then voila, I was able to look for coffee and all. And then I put all I call this as slide deck breakers. The slide deck breakers are the order I'm going to present my information. So I put their introduction, analyze this, discussion, open forum, and then afterwards, once I have laid out this, I'm not going to put there the specifics. All right. So I do not start making the power presentation from slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4. No, I come up first with the whole presentation of the order, and the details will later on. The details will be once I have all of that, I will now come up with the details. So my fifth step will be pre-lay out my presentation based on the comprehensible sequence that I've designed. So you guys out there, I've heard that a lot of teachers are using the 5 A's in presentation. So you may want to come up with first the layout of the 5 A's. All right. I would like to suggest that the themes of your proper presentation be more interesting for your students, because the theme and the design really lends itself to making your students pay attention to your decks, to your slide decks. All right. So my sixth step. Okay, I did that pala para makafocus pala tayo doon. All right. So the sixth step that I do, okay, is now once I've laid out my order of my presentation, I now focus more on specific slide decks per part of my presentation and graphically represent the information that I will present. So what I do is I present graphically first so that I can explain first concepts, and then afterwards I have statements to summarize the answer to each question. Right? So medyo meron lang talagang emphasis. So graphics pa siya, meron pa siyang words, at meron pa siyang summarizing each question. Kasi in my mind is hindi lahat ng bata o hindi lahat ng audience love so much or is so engrossed with graphics. They some of them are like readers and they want to read what I'm explaining. So kinukumpare ko po yun. So that's who I am. So tayo po kung represent for online presentations for our students, we need also to understand that hindi lang lahat ng estudyante natin ay viewers, may mga bata rin na mga readers din, hindi lang listeners and all. So if we can accommodate the viewers, the listeners, and the readers in your presentation, then I think you have a good online presentation. A good example would be, the question is, yesterday I had a question, what is intervention? So instead of typically putting words there, all of these words in one paragraph, what I did is I represented the paragraph into a graphical presentation, all right? So current mindset, changing to, transitioning it to our target mindset would be the intervention. So if you would like to know how I presented this, you may want to review my presentation yesterday on intervention activities for students with writing difficulties. So, all right, so that's how I do it. It takes a lot of time for me. Like for this case, I had difficulty looking for pictures that, students with the same hair and facial expression and so on and so forth. But this is the closest pictures that I can come up with. All right. So sabi nga ng iba, so pag naging target mindset na pala, umayos ng buhok. Not necessarily though. Later on, when I learn how to draw online, make graphics, probably I will have my own graphics, but I don't have time for that later on, for that now. So for now, I'll be researching free online graphics, and I'll be using it. And if it's not free and it says they have to be cited, so I cite. So there are some slides that I cite sources, and there are slides that I don't cite sources, because it depends on the demand of the site of graphics that I am researching on trying to use from. Okay. The sixth, that should have been sixth. I'm sorry. Yeah, sixth. Seventh step that I do is I practice presenting the slides and edit as I go along. So I think my moderators in VIBAL know that what I do is that I ask for about 5 minutes that I present it to them. And then while I present, I would see that, oh, mali ang pag-order ko nito. Ay, mali ang aking pag-enter ng sentence na to. Ay, mali ang enter ng pictures na to. So along the way, I get to edit things because hindi yung pagkatapos iwan mo lang siya. It's the same as writing. Making online presentations is like writing. After writing it, you need to edit it. And by editing, when you edit it, you'll have to be the first reader of your own presentation. In like manner, your online presentation, before you publish it or before you embark on the actual online presentation, you need to see it for yourself. Present it to yourself. Or in that case, present it to someone else. And if it doesn't make sense to them, then you'll have to do something about it. All right. And in my case, I guess I make do with my moderators. Whatever they say, if they say, sir, mali yata yun, mali yata yung word na yun. So I do listen. Okay, I do listen. And I have viewers who have been, constantly giving me feedback. Hindi lang lahat ng comments ay tinatanggap ko. Ito yung palagi nanonood po ng aking presentations, online presentations. And they have feedbacks and it's presented to me constructively. So I listen and then the next time I try to improve that. There were comments before that I did not choose colors that are interesting for them. So I use now the Roy Jabiv, the rule of the high frequency colors, the red, orange, yellow. So still using the psychology of colors. You can do that later on. The eighth step that I do is learn to tell yourself to stop and focus on the specifics of your presentation. While I am presenting, like presenting it to myself, maraming pumapasok sa utak ko na, ay, dapat dagdagan ko pa nito, dagdagin ko pa ito. Wait, may time constraint po tayo. Baka yung information na yan, kaya sa utak ko sabi ko, is that an important information? Is it an imperative information? Is it a necessary for information, or it's more of a luxury information or an additional information? If my mind says and I realize it's an additional information, I could just take that away and say, okay, pwede ko naman siguro sabihin na lang yan as one of the examples, but I don't have to create, a separate slide for it. Okay? So, minsan kasi dumadami, humahaba. So, meron tayong sinasabi na attention span para sa mga bata. My online presentation is really long. It should be, 30 minutes to 45 minutes dapat. Nga lang yan kasi it would be too much for you guys out there. Kaya lang, syempre, I'm still looking at ways how I can, shorten my presentation and with the bang and all. So number 9, I'm sorry, but this is who I am. I pray and ask God for guidance and entrust everything to Him. I know that my skills alone would not help me in presenting, doing online presentations. My skills are not mine, and I believe that God has a way of, inspiring us, giving us strength, and invigorating us to be able to present the information. So I do that. I pray, and I hope you do that too. And the last step that I do is I try to enjoy, like even if I don't see you guys out there, what I do is even if I don't know if how I look to you out there, I just put that aside and I said I would enjoy this in presenting and enjoy sharing my experiences to the people. And if they don't like it, it's okay. It's not for them perhaps, but there are still other perhaps viewers that may find value in the information that I'm giving. So I wouldn't know that because I don't see you there. I wouldn't see hands raising and asking questions and clarifying questions and saying, sir, I already know that. Could you give us new information? I wouldn't know that. These are the things I've pre-prepared for you guys out there. So I just try to let go and say, I will enjoy this so that people out there who are watching me right now will also enjoy what I'm enjoying at. Okay. So now let's answer the last question. What tips to follow in doing online presentations? So I just have 3 tips to share to you guys out there. And these are the things that I've been doing, okay? So basic tips for online presentation. First, Start with the momentum using your facial expression and tone of voice. That's why every time I come online, I say, "Good morning, guys. Thank you very much for start with a smile." It lightens up. It lightens up the online presentation, even if you think you do not see them. But it makes the I don't know. Some of the viewers would say, "Sir, maganda kasi tingnan, nag-smile ka lang, parang kinakausap mo lang kami." Um, and I said, okay, so I'm doing it right. Like it works that I deliver the goods as if I'm just talking to you and you're just there, and that's what I call as momentum. Try to start with a smile and a conversational way so that you make the viewers feel that, okay, para lang ako nakikinig sa radyo, para lang ako nakikinig ng drama. Okay, parang panahon namin ay nakikinig ng Gabi ng Lagim, si Matar. Okay, marami na-relate dyan doon. Di ba? Naalala niyo yun, yung si Matar na yan. At saka, meron hanggang ngayon, Chadeli ba yun? Patudnila? Anyway. So, parang ganun lang. Parang nakipagkwentuhan ka lang. Pag nag-present ka sa mga bata, para ka nagpagkwentuhan. Para light din ang pakiramdam ng mga bata. Remember, on our context before, saying, moving, changing minds, moving hearts, and to change the action and behavior of our students, of our audience. Okay? The third tip that I would like to share to you would be present your information not just to inform others, but to influence and inspire others. Have a goal that it's not just informing other people, but also by your experience, sharing it to others, you inspire them to do the same. Even if they know you know already what I'm saying, but the mere fact that I'm trying to share it to others would inspire you also to share your own experiences to other teachers, because I do believe that knowledge is not shared, it's nothing. That is a mantra that Dr. Tatlong had been, inculcating in my head. Kasi nga, dati pa akong hard-headed, dati pa akong, sabihin na natin, all and mighty dating sa ang tingin sa sarili ko. So sabi ko, basta, kung ako, alam ko to, hindi nila alam, bahala sila, maging mangmang sila forever. I realized and say, hindi pala pwedeng ganon. So kung meron pala akong natutunan, whether it's in my classes, in my postgraduate classes, or it can be my experience and I change along the way, pwede dapat i-share po natin. Okay? Kasi sabi nga natin, knowledge if not shared, it's nothing. Alright? And then, mas maganda kasi na tulong-tulong po tayo. Right? It's a journey together. Next, and finally, end with a bang using inspirational statements or challenge to make a change. Yung parang tatapusin mo siya na hindi ka lang nagpasalamat, kundi wait lang, bago natin tapusin, ito dapat ang inyong maalala sa pinag-usapan natin ngayong araw na to, at ito naman ang challenge ko sa inyo. What will you do now? All right? So these are my practical tips, and these are the things that I do. And I think you've seen these are the things that I do. All right, minus of course the hair, minus the way I look. It's okay. I think that would be just plus points for people who look good online. I don't know if I look good online, but that's inconsequential for me. What's important is that how the information that I present. So these are the basic. Those are the 10 steps that I do to prepare for my online presentation, and these are my tips for you. Top 3 tips that I would like to share to you when you do online presentations. So at this point, I would like to open open the doors for questions and clarifications you would want me to answer. So, Mitch, do I have questions out there?
Thank you very much, brother. Now we will proceed to our question and answer portion. Our first question is from Maricar Dizon. There are some teachers who are afraid or hesitant to use this online class. How can these teachers be prepared?
Okay, I think I already had a session on changing the mindset of teachers towards online, but I will answer that to you. First, I think they need to be guided on how to do it. They need to see how it's done. A lot of teachers are afraid, if not necessarily afraid, are against doing online because they have this belief system that the best way to deliver your goods as a teacher to your students would be face-to-face interaction, and there would be no replacement of face-to-face interaction. But remember, the online the online lectures or online presentation is still a face-to-face interaction to your students, only that there's a distance between you and the teachers. And you can be more effective. You can be more effective in presenting your ideas to your students because you can use a lot of tools to augment your ideas. The difference is that you need to retool yourselves. You need to train and how to use these platforms instead of just using blackboards and chalks and overhead projectors and PowerPoint presentations. Right now, to help them, migrate, okay, to have them migrate from a traditional classroom lecture perspective to online lecture or presentation perspective is for us to guide them how to do it. Ang ginawa kasi sa akin ng Bibal ay, sir, sige, panoorin niyo po ang mga ginagawa nila. May pinanood nila, sir, madali lang din ang panoorin mong ginawa nila. So, I was introduced to, ayoko na, to be honest, I'm one of those teachers who was against online teaching. So that won't work. I told myself, that won't work. I still believe that it should be face-to-face. Dapat gawa ng paraan ng gobyerno na maging safe ang mga bata pumasok ng school. And then I realized later on, as I was introduced, watching online, ay, effective din pala. May naiintindihan ako eh. Parang kung akong estudyante, may naiintindihan ako. And then I realized, I can improve that. As a teacher, I know that I could have been in this part of this presentation of that speaker, online speaker, I could improve that. So, my mahabang ang explanation. Ang explanation, ang answer ko lang sa sagot niyo po ay i-guide, expose, gradually expose. Do not force the teacher to, do it. Kasi gagawin niya, I will do it just to comply. What will happen is that gagawa lang siya ng online presentation but will not make a difference in the lives of our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Our next question is from Astrid Pugoon Yago. What strategy do you use when you find out that some students are having connectivity problem while you are presenting online?
All right. What we did, what I personally did is that, like when I'm doing my presentation writing, I record it. And then for those students who had difficulty, they can access this video and download that, and then they can, watch it on their own time. So I highly suggest that teachers, when you do online presentations, that you record your online presentations for students who are having difficulty with, connectivity, so that you can send that either via what I do is via Messenger, via Gmail, via Yahoo Mail. So at least, you don't have to redo the online presentation. So I highly suggest that teachers out there to record your online presentations for the sake of those students who have connectivity problems. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And our last question is from Maria Teresa Ganaden. Sir, how many slides will be the average number so that the students will not be overloaded?
Now, thank you very much for answering. I did research on that because I need to, I need also to adjust myself, because usually when I do PowerPoint presentation, I would have more than 50 slides, and the 50 slides that I prepared would be more of a 3 to 4 hour presentation. And then since our students, our lectures say would be for 30 minutes or less, 15 to 20 minutes, the slides should be as simple as 5 to 10 slides for a 15 to 20 minute presentation. 5 to 10 slides. I don't know how you're going to do that. What I do is that I cram in one slide all the information and I graphically present all of that. So I think you need to be creative on how you're going to present it graphically in one slide, and that's what I did. Yung ginawa ko nun, yung maraming paganyan-ganyan na maraming information. In fact, those are different slides. So what I did is I realized, pagsamahin ko na lang sa isang slide para isa lang na presentation. All right? So ganun po lang kahaba. Ganun lang for a 15 to 20 minute online presentation of your lecture. It should be 5 to 10 slides. Kasama na po doon yung introduction ninyo, motivation ninyo, hanggang sa inyong abstraction. Ha? Ang dami naman. Well, kung meron po kayong IT, mga experts din sa paggawa ng presentation, yeah. I'm still on the process of learning how to accommodate. Ang pinakamahaba ko is ngayon, ang pinakamahaba ko would be 33 slides. Ang pinakamaikli kong slides for an hour and a half presentation would be 20 slides na. Ngayon, itong slide ko na to ay 26 slides. Originally, it was 50 slides. So, nung nag-edit ako, naging na siya, 26. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
All right. So just a simple reminder. I'll just give you a conclusion and then implications just to try to lose ends and make, present some challenges to you guys out there. So online presentations are the norm now. That more people are working from home. Okay, that's normal. Something that we need to accept, whether we like it or not. And therefore, if we are now working online, there will be a different demand from us, from our work, not just from our administrators, but also from the clients that we serve. So, hindi lang isa nga lang ang ating iniisip sa online work. Yung demand ng school sa atin at ang demand ng mga estudyante sa atin. So kaya mahirap. Kasi nasabi ko, dapat maraming support ang mga teachers kasi very demanding and online lectures or online presentations. It looks easy kasi natapos niyan gawin. Itong ginawa ko, parang ang dali-dali naman yan. Hindi, ang hirap po. Dugot pawis po yan. Nakita niyo ang order ng ginawa ko, 10 steps yan. For every presentation, I do 10 steps. And ano na po yan, wala pa akong iniisip na mga learning competencies niyan. Ano pa kayo pag may iniisip pa kayong learning competence? I think that would be more than 10 steps, I suppose. Okay? For many, moving from in-person to online presentations may bring a new set of challenges to overcome. It could be posed as a deterrent. It could be a hindrance to moving on and accepting this new demands. But here's what I say. I went through that. Alam po ng VIBAL yan na nung una, ayaw ako, tanggi ako noon, marami akong mga rason. Although, yung mga reasons na yun ay totoo, kaya lang, ginagamit ko na lang para hindi ko matanggap ang mga online. But eventually, I had to say, I need to stop and say, accept this change as a way of improving oneself. And said, I need to improve myself. If I do not improve myself, I do not accept these changes happening in our society, baka maging history ako. And then people would see me, napag-iwanan itong taong ito dahil hindi siya nag-adapt to changes. On that note, I would like to leave you with a statement that struck me most while I was preparing for my presentation for today by T.D. Jakes. He said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always be where you've always been. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you. I hope that you learned, snippets of information from my presentation, and this is basically some of my practical steps that I do when I prepare for my online presentations. And this is a segue of the intervention topics that we have for this week. This is more of sharing my way of sharing what I've been doing for the past few months in order to adjust to the new demands of online presentations, online lectures. So I hope to see you on Friday when I talk about intervention activities for students with poor study habits. Thank you very much. And I had a tremendous excitement presenting this information to you. And I would say good day and see you on Friday.
There we have it. In behalf of VIBAL Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very eye-opening, insightful, and generous learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, brother. And to all our VIBAL viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.